Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you guys had a great weekend. Just wanted to make a very brief video um, about product strategy and where we're gonna be moving forward this week. I think like there was like many of you guys are working in different time zones and really different to catch up on Slack. So let me try to brief up all these things in this video, and if you have doubts, you can actually send me another email, but it should be clearly understood after this. Let me start a little bit explaining what is FRETX and why it's a startup. So I'm going to take Steve Blank's definition of what a startup is. Startup is an organization in search of a repetitive and scalable business model. If you take any large companies, they know what they're doing. They know their product suppliers, channels, distribution, and so on. But in a startup case, actually, we're looking for all those components. I mean, what we have at most are just hypotheses. Hypotheses that there could be two outcomes. Hypotheses that are like right hypotheses. So we think that we're going to be selling one product or one service, and then we execute it correctly, and it works, and it leads us to a revenue model that can make the company grow bigger and get out of the startup mode, but rather become a real company. On the other side, we can have a whole bunch of hypotheses that are wrong. So in any case, we need to try those hypotheses fast, because what we lack here is the money and scale of larger companies. So what we've been doing the last time is like we developed sort of like 3 products. I'm gonna tell these products like hypotheses. They are in different stages, each one of them, and of course they are for different audiences. So let me start with a very brief explanation about each one of them. The FRETX device. We all know that product. We already launched in Indiegogo. Pretty cool. You learn 20 chords in 1 hour. You learn songs. No theory involved. Audience is beginners, 25, 40 years old, kind of geek male. What happened with the FRETX device, like one of the promises was that anybody could actually build content on the platform. So to build content, we needed some sort of software to allow anyone to build it. So that's why we created the editor. The editor is actually targeted for people who are guitar teachers or artists, and they know what they're doing, they know their content, but they can build it now through the editor to the FRETX. What happened then is that we started splitting the editor on one side, which was the platform where we would be able to edit the songs and load new songs, from something called the player. The player was only a place to check all the songs that they were being uploaded. So in that moment we said, wow, this is a great product, because for those who don't buy the FRETX, they can actually get the player, but we always need the editor to actually do this. So if you think about it, these 3 products are totally interrelated with each other. Why? Because they're all for guitars. They're all aimed to, from the editor, you can nourish the device and the player itself. And if you check what's going on in the player, maybe you say, wow, I like this, and I can buy the FRETX device. The only difference is like the audiences are not exactly the same. Those who use the FRETX device, they may not use the player, or those who use the player, they may use the FRETX device, and those who use the editor, it could be any one of those who use the player or the FRETX device, but they need some understanding of how to upload content. Obviously, you're not going to put a beginner to the editor. It's a different audience. So the only thing that it's actually relating these products to each other is the same value proposition. On both the device and the player, what we want is for people to learn easy songs in guitar. That's why we have 4 frets, same stuff, only chords, same type of content, same type of music. Now on the other side, what you really want to do is like creating a link between the content providers and the content consumers. So teachers, artists, they use the editor for those who use the player or for those who use the FRETX device. So for those who actually were hard to understand what was the editor, what was the player proposition, it's like different audiences. Like you go to McDonald's and you buy burgers, but on the other side, maybe your mom, she eats a salad. But you're not going to different places. You're just going to the same spot and you're getting different content according to the audience. So one of the key strategies here is to focus only on the player. Why? The player is already available. So driving traffic there should be easier than driving traffic to Indiegogo and actually get them to buy the product. On the other side, if we go for the player, we can gain new audiences that they were not going to buy the FRETX device on first place, but they would consume the player, and they would consume learning how to play songs. What we are trying to do is like take them to the player and make that in the player after different iterations to see how from the player they can buy either the device or some other potential product that we're going to offer them. So what we need on that player is to gain enough traction from visitors, but at the same time you need to create the traction on the player, but you need to get the content offering through the editor, because this is like a network effect. You just go where the content is, and if you are someone who wants to learn how to play the guitar, you want to go where high volumes of content are there. But if you need to get the high volumes of content, you need to get them from somewhere, which is the teachers and the artists that upload their content. But they are not going to upload it if there's no value on, or if there's no audience of the player. So the whole things are intertangled. So you need to drive them both, but it's a different audience. Now you would say, why are we not focusing on the hardware, which is the thing that we started first? So a couple of bullet points here. The hardware is not ready yet, so we need to build it, and it takes time and lots of effort to actually drive people into the Indiegogo and make them buy the product. This is something that it's been proven, so we say, okay, kind of hard, we're not doing great results there, or at least for December. So the other problem with hardware is it's not scalable. Once you start building a whole bunch of this hardware, it becomes a commodity. People use them to a limited amount, and then if you don't have any other proposal, it could get something like really, really, boring. So you don't want to use that anymore. Maybe the teachers will, but it's a smaller market. And on the other side, you always have copycats. If the whole thing started to make sense, you'll probably have some other companies who are going to be developing the same stuff, and the barriers to entry into that hardware are not that hard. So in the long run, it's a pretty bad strategy. Just to wrap things up, so the good thing about the player that you need to understand is the player creates community. Okay, so if we have enough traction on this player, we can build people who use it constantly and people who adds content to it. And in any case, it's going to be always harder to replicate community than to replicate a hardware device. So if we only have the hardware device, we become like, copycats can arise and win our strategy. While if we have only a community, it's really hard to build a community from scratch. Thus, that gives us a competitive advantage towards the other ones, because we have the community plus the hardware, plus the editor, which is fucking awesome because no one's doing that. So let's talk a little bit about the goals on the player in terms of user experience. I mean, a good user experience means that users' goals are aligned to companies' goals. Okay, so what we want them to do on the player is for them to go into the player, get easy songs. So it's like beginners who are going to be using this, people who want to learn very, very easy songs the fastest way possible on 4 frets. Okay, some of them, hopefully they go there, they consume the videos, they consume the learning experience, and they might buy a FRETX device. But if they are not interested in the device, at least that we can get their emails, we can get know about these customers and have them for future product offerings. On the other side, so that's where the goals. Now let's talk a little bit about the marketing efforts that we're going to put on this week. We need to drive audience there. So we're going to be driving, at least we need to grow really fast. So 10% new audience per day. On the other things that are aligned to it, we can drive audience, but we need to drive, more content. So this is going to be like a side-by-side with the editor. We need to bring more people using the platform and learning new songs, but new songs needs to be there. This is why we need at least 5 new songs, 5 new teachers or artists to actually load the content inside the platform. We're going to be working on weekly sprints. So at the end of each week, we need to make sure that all that audience who came to the site are properly analyzed and understood